All right. This is a continuation of the last one, so you get to see
Deja vu.
a scuttlebutt again. Anyway, welcome to the Discovering Eden podcast. My name is Brandon,
I'm Jonathan.
I'm Marty.
and this week we're talking about Behemoth. To continue off of the Leviathan the last week. So we'll get into prayer, we'll get into the bumper, where I scuttle up again, and we'll get into it.
Lord, thank you for this time together. We thank you for your word, for your wisdom, your leading, your spirit. We thank you for just all the known and the unknowns of all of your creation, Lord. And we thank you for your creation and just the imagination that you give us in all of that, too. And the ability to talk about these things and just the wonderment of it all as well. And so we just ask for your leading on all this and ask for your wisdom. In Jesus' name. Amen.
Scuttle up. Ugh. All right. Amen. So Behemoth. Once again, another Final Fantasy VII.
I'm just gonna throw this
Final
out there
Fantasy
because I got to. Like I'm going old school here. That's a behemoth. That's all I got. Final Fantasy IV, purple
Thing.
yeah.
Yeah. And to be honest, it was kind of hard to research Behemoth.
Mhm.
There's not a whole lot out there, except for obviously Job 40. What I ended up finding out though is a similar translation origin to Behemoth from Behemoth, which is Arabic myth.
Also a Final Fantasy.
Yep.
Which is also a Final Fantasy VII.
King of the Dragons.
Which in Arabic myth is a dragon, which is interesting for one of the interpretations of what I think Behemoth could be, which is a dinosaur. Now, there's criticism toward that that I'll get to, but I wanted to mention it there. So, Behemoth is from Arabian myth, like I said, king of good dragons. Is what it is.
Interesting that they
Specify
specify good. Yeah.
Because as you'll see in the Behemoth example here, it's very docile. It doesn't seem harmful. It's a plant eater, basically. Doesn't harm anything. So, it's the king of the good dragons. But at the same time, it's also portrayed as a giant fish that upholds the earth.
Which is really weird.
And the reason for some of this, which it could have been influenced by Canaanite myth of Behemoth, which is mentioned in, it's in the Bible, and adapted some of its characteristics through, again, the trade routes and everything. But somewhere along the way, it misaligned Leviathan and Behemoth and flip-flopped them. So you'll see in the picture, you have an ox and you have a fish. The ox is Leviathan and the fish is Behemoth. Yep, that checks out.
Yeah. Gotta make it their own.
So, for the translation thing, from what I found online, so Behemoth was translated from Hebrew to Arabic to German to arrive at Behemoth. So that's how the Behemoth name came. And it goes through Arabic to get to that. So where this Behemoth could be the same thing, could potentially be the same origin. Again, going back to the cuneiform and Arabic stuff. Anyway, I thought that was interesting. How accurate is it? Well, leave it up to Google.
Again, it's on the internet. It's got to be true.
Absolutely.
Because I was trying to find like actual examples of like depictions of Behemoth and Leviathan, and that's where I came up or found the one thing I'm going to show. And I have right next to it another depiction of it from Job that a college had. So I go here. Oh, actually, I forgot to check if this is even working. Do I even have this? No, I don't. Okay, see, this is why we're having fun. There we go. There we go. That's what I meant to do. Let's view this. So on the left or on the right there, you can see the depiction of Behemoth and Leviathan with the ox and the fish, and they're basically the base of the person who's basically holding the world. Now, what that is and what it's said underneath it, I couldn't tell you. But that's like a rendition, and obviously this is much later. And this was from some site. I just saw it because I'm like, what are depictions of Behemoth that you can see? And I'm like, so it's that ox in the middle, right? Nope, it's the fish. It's the fish. And I'm like, oh, that's not what I expected.
Right.
So that's one of the depictions. And then I guess I'll leave this up here as we're talking about Job. So we'll go into Job as the only other spot where it mentions Behemoth. So I'll read this again because I already have it pulled up. So I will start. I'll start at verse 15 of Job 40. Honestly, it's not too far. So, look at Behemoth, which I made along with you. Okay. Yep. And which feeds on grass like an ox. So, like an ox, but isn't an ox. Got it. With what strength it has in its loins, what power in the muscles of its belly. Its tail sways like a cedar. The sinews of its thighs are close-knit. Its bones are tubes of bronze. Its limbs are like rods of iron. It ranks first among the works of God. Yet its maker can approach it with his sword. The hills bring it their produce, and all the wild animals play nearby. Under the lotus plant it lies, hidden among the reeds in the marsh. The lotuses conceal it in their shadow. The poplars by the stream surround it. A raging river does not alarm it. It is secure through the Jordan, should surge against its mouth. Can anyone capture it by the eyes or trap it and pierce its nose? There's a couple of things that stand out in that description. One of them is which I made along with you.
Mm-hmm.
It walks with humans. Most definitely does. I made it with you. It can't be an ox because it eats grass like an ox.
Not is an ox.
And it has a relation to water as well, which is maybe where they started confusing Bahamut with fish. Because it does have aquatic tendencies. Or at least semi-aquatic.
Mm-hmm.
But again, yet its maker can approach it with his sword. It's docile. It's not going to do anything to you. It eats the plants. It seems like an herbivore.
Mm-hmm.
The hills bring it its produce. The wild animals play nearby. They ain't concerned about it. Another thing, it's big. It's very, very big. Its tail, like a cedar tree, which would insinuate a large tail that would sway slowly.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely a hippo.
Hippo is, the behemoth in mine is possibly an elephant or hippo. That's what my study Bible says, which I don't agree with.
Right.
Hippo makes more sense than elephant in the fact that it's near water. I mean, elephants can be near water as well.
Yeah.
I don't know, like, it's hard. But the thing is, hippos aren't docile.
Right.
Elephants can be pretty aggressive as well.
Mhm.
Elephants you could probably approach more, so I guess I'll backtrack and say elephants are probably more closer than hippo. But those tails.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The only
We'll-
reason
we'll
I would
fall.
lean more towards elephant is maybe the trunk, but I know that's they
That's
would
not
know-
a tail.
No, I know that, but I'm just thinking.
That's a tail. What's
I
its
mean-
head? That's a really interesting.
Well, no, I
one.
understand. I'm just saying. That's the only thing I could possibly think of is it's a lot bigger, you know.
And there's that's what a lot of scholars and whatever have in here. I don't agree with it. You'll see on the left is one of the depictions of something it could be, which is an extinct mammal, which is a hornless rhino. It was one of the biggest land mam. It is the biggest land mammal on Earth that we know of. Its fossils and bones were found in like Iran, so similar area in this general vicinity. Had a tail that was fairly long, about 2-ish meters long,
Okay.
and obviously swayed.
Mhm.
And it kind of looked like the depiction on the left. And this thing was huge. And I'm gonna. So, the black outline, that's the thing that they think it could be. That's a human for comparison.
Yep.
The next highest, like the next tallest rhino that it has on there is Elasmotherium, which is the woolly rhino. Which is big. It's definitely almost twice the size of a human in height. And then there's the other one, the one that they think Behemoth could have been. Definitely huge. And this thing would stampede things.
Mhm.
Because it's a rhino.
Yep.
Yeah, it just puts it into comparison. Who can go through its nose? Like, who can wrangle it,
Mhm.
basically. This thing's massive.
Yep.
And for an animal that they would see, yep, nope, you can't mess with this because it's like you can't control it. It's too big. It's not gonna do anything to you. It eat plants. But to me, the temperament of the rhino doesn't really make it necessarily docile,
Right.
which is why I think a sauropod makes more sense. And especially when you think of Behemoth being a good dragon, kind of fits that dinosaur mold a little bit.
Yep.
And it fits there is an animal in the Congo, like the Congo rainforest, that we mentioned earlier on the podcast, that was done by like pygmy hunters and different things, like different locals in the area. They came up with really elaborate descriptions of animals that they found in and around that area. The okapi is one of them, and scientists are like, no, that's ridiculous, that doesn't exist. Until they found one. They're like, oh, it's exactly how they described it. One of the animals that they have is the Mukelimembe, which looks exactly like a sauropod dinosaur. Why are they getting descriptions of a sauropod dinosaur in their sketchbooks?
Right.
Maybe because they walked alongside humans. And this is like the one, because I know earlier I said oh, well, dinosaurs could have shrunk. Sauropods were huge to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
Even if it's a smaller sauropod, it's still big.
Yeah.
Just like this animal, the hornless rhino, extinct at this point, it was big.
Mm-hmm.
So it would have to compete with something like that. And why the Congo is why I think it could still be there. Again, there's this really, really deep river. It lays along the lotuses and different things like that. It makes a lot of sense for something similar to still be there. Again, going back to our discussion last week with Leviathan, Behemoth has more of a physical description.
Mm-hmm.
And it's interesting, and it kind of already specifies it's not an ox.
Yeah.
It eats grass like an ox, which is why they're claiming, oh, it's rhinoceros. It eats grass. So I guess it could be understood where I can understand their thing for the rhinoceros here instead of sauropod, because sauropods were thought to have eaten from the trees.
Right.
And the trees, specifically in the Congo, really, really tall. Which makes sense for like a sauropod to kind of eat from them. So, could they be referring to the same thing, or are they different? Could this be referring to this pal here, or is it a sauropod? I could see arguments for both.
Yeah.
Let's see. Now, I have down here, so Balochatherium, which is one of the provinces in Iran where they got it. So this is hornless rhino, and I got the information from the Armstrong Institute of Biblical Archaeology. So I'm gonna put that in there. I wanted to say I didn't remember it off the top of my head, but I'll put it there. Yeah. Yeah. And back in Scuttleback. Alright. So that is a possible behemoth.
Mm.
And regardless, it's big. Where we get the term behemoth, what we use in the diction today, originated from, well, that.
This huge thing.
It's huge. It's big. It's gargantuan. It's behemoth. That's where it originated from. And obviously, the description of Leviathan, much, much larger than Behemoth. And I think one of the reasonings behind it is because people knew what it was. Because they could see it. They could physically see it. Leviathan, on the other hand, you really didn't get to see. Because it was in the sea. Aha, da-dutch. But again, the Institute of Biblical Archaeology, the Armstrong Institute, they believe more of like the old Earth model. So there's an old Earth and young Earth model, whereas like young Earth thinks the Earth is around 6,000 something years old, and then the old Earth is millions to kind of go along with science. And I think what they do is they almost try to intermix the two. They're like, they almost imply that dinosaur cannot live alongside humans because it doesn't make sense. And they give a reasoning behind it, thinking like in Genesis, that there's like two creation stories in Genesis 1. So like you have the creation of the worlds and the planet, and then you have the void, and that's where they have the end of the first. And they say that void, when that happens, is the KT extinction boundary. And then that's when everything else came. I disagree with that. I don't think that's accurate. I think it's all in one go.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, the giant flood is the great unconformity. Because it's a catastrophe.
Yeah.
It's called the great unconformity because they're like, what the heck happened? I don't know. A flood could do that. You get a lot of aquatic things that we can find fossils of below the KT.
Right.
Interesting. Interesting. And that's where we find a lot of the fossils. After that, we see Ice Age stuff. Pretty much. And that's about it. It's interesting because it makes sense, at least to me, but that's kind of the bias or bent that I have.
Yep.
And I'm not saying that I'm either young Earth or old Earth, because to be honest, I'm kind of in between. I don't know if I agree with the 6,000 year thing, but I definitely don't agree with the millions. 100,000? That could be plausible. But who am I to really know, and who really cares to begin with? Because my God can make it in 7 days or 7 chunks of time. I do not care.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, it don't matter. Creation happened regardless, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So who really cares about the nuances and nitty gritty? Though it's kind of fun to kind of think about them, to be sure. But
we got a whole podcast about things that may or may not exist. So
yeah. These creatures, by the way, which we don't, at least I would argue did exist.
Yeah.
Do they still exist? I don't know.
Yeah.
Probably not. My only thing is Mekele Membe could be the same thing, so it could still exist. But if Mekele Membe and Behemoth are not the same thing, then no, it doesn't exist because it's extinct. But the dragon thing with the dinosaur is what I was saying, like. But that's Bahamut, and obviously there's translation changes, and obviously with that, while they flip-flop the two, well, it clearly isn't an ox because the Bible said it wasn't. So they like Nox, they're like ox. That's Leviathan.
Yeah.
Yeah, so fish and ox for Arabic, which I thought that was interesting, and that they flip-flop the two.
Mm-hmm.
Because they're like, we want to be different. I mean, I don't know if that's actually what they thought, but it's interesting. That's the only like tie that I found was Bahamut and Behemoth. But other than that, I don't really know what else there is to talk about Behemoth.
Yeah, not a whole lot there.
So it's probably going to be a shorter episode. Obviously, Leviathan and Behemoth are used in tandem.
Mm-hmm.
You see that in Canaanite myth, and you also see it in the Bible. I'm not even sure, honestly, if Behemoth is even in Canaanite myth. Leviathan for sure is.
Mm-hmm.
Behemoth, I'm not sure.
Sure,
Because Bahamut is definitely a myth, and that's in Arabic, which makes me assume that Behemoth is also part of Canaanite myth. And the fact that Leviathan and Behemoth are used together. But yeah, there are also physical descriptions as well. So, basically, and kind of what I think, again, tying into last week, where we talked about Leviathan, and I am God basically saying, I am stronger than the biggest, scariest thing that you can imagine. And this is almost like tie into it. The biggest, scariest thing you can imagine, or the biggest thing that you can imagine on land and in sea.
Mm-hmm.
So Behemoth comes before Leviathan. So it goes Behemoth and Leviathan, 40 and 41. So here's the biggest thing that you can think of on land that you know of. So everything that is big and known, and everything that is big and unknown. And then the land and sea. So encapsulating everything.
Yeah.
Saying, I am greater than anything, everything, land, sea.
Yeah, all of creation.
Everything, all of creation. Which, again, there's emphasis there in God's response to Job.
Mm-hmm.
You look like you're having fun.
It really hurts. My eyes acted. My contact is acting up. That's why I'm all blinky.
Inky, binky, blinky, quad. He's a ghost, guys. Don't get eaten by Pac-Man. Anyway, any other things that you thought of about Behemoth, that stick out to you, either from what I kind of researched or anything that you comes to mind?
Yeah, the other thing that came to mind for me, I mean, was the description of it and how comparing it to could be an elephant or whatever, rhino or whatever. Anytime I've read that, it's always said dinosaur to me. Just with the size of it and that.
I mean, even when I was like a little kid reading it,
Yeah,
I thought of Apatosaurus,
Hmm.
Brontosaurus, whatever you want to call it, because at the time it was called Brontosaurus, and then they changed it to Apatosaurus, whatever. Same difference. It's a sauropod.
yeah.
That's all it gave to me. I'm like, so it's dino. Got it.
Yep.
Dino in Bible. Awesome. Like it gives a description of an actual thing that exists.
Mhm.
And there's very little about it because, to me, insinuates that it's already known. It's an already known commodity.
Yeah.
It's a little bit bigger than, say, the donkey or anything like that, because for the amount of verses that it's given, so 15 to 24 is Behemoth. So 9 verses. Let's look at donkey, for example. So donkey, 5 to 8. Ox, 9 to 12.
All pretty well known things.
Pretty well known things. Really small for verses.
Mhm.
Like like God's explaining them. Really short and concise. Because you know what it is. I don't need to tell you.
Yeah.
So it's like 4 or 5 verses. This one's 9.
Mhm.
A little bit bigger. Maybe less people know about it because there probably isn't that many left. But they're there.
Yeah.
Just like elephants. How many people have actually seen an elephant? Well, they're there.
Yeah.
They're just not all over the place. Especially to us that are out of context.
Right.
So it's interesting because, I mean, you could take that in comparison to Leviathan, which is an entire chapter, which is Job 41,
Yep.
which is 34 verses in comparison to the Behemoth's 9.
Mhm.
It's a little bit of a stark contrast, which to me symbolizes known versus unknown.
Yep.
So if Leviathan is chaos and chaos in the unknown, makes sense if you want to talk about it in that way.
Mhm.
Then what's Behemoth? It's the known, but there isn't necessarily a negativity around it. It's rather docile.
Yep.
So, I don't know. Think on that, stew on that for a bit. And I guess that'll be it for this episode. So, like, subscribe, pray for the contacts, Jonathan, so they can see again.
He's fighting his behemoth over here.
That's a behemoth right there. Anyway, thank you guys for watching, and we'll catch you later.
See you next time.
See ya.